Welcome to Esoteric Talk, where we cover everything within the realm of spiritual mystery. Join me, astrologer, psychic medium, and frequency healer, Lydia Chiarenza.
And me, Rachel Talia, hypnotherapist, intuitive, and energy practitioner, as we uncover what lies beneath in today's episode of Esoteric Talk with AstroGnosis, hypnotherapy, and astrology.
Hi, and welcome to episode 3 of Esoteric Talk. In today's episode, we interviewed Michael Adcock, energetic practitioner, student of human design and astrology, and all things esoteric. Michael shared with us his experiences with human design, as well as astrology, and how he applies them to the dream body. And with that being said, I'm going to hand it over to you, Rachel.
Hi, welcome to our third show. We are here with our wonderful guest, Michael Adcock. He is an energetic practitioner, student of astrology, human design, and all things esoteric. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you for that great introduction.
We are super excited to hear what you have to say today, Michael, as we know that when it comes to things like astrology and human design, they often intermesh together. So it'll be awesome to hear kind of your experiences utilizing those together.
Yeah, definitely. And for those that don't know what human design is, can you give a brief explanation of what exactly human design is?
Sure. It might be easy me just to explain like how I discovered it. I have a little bit of a background in astrology. Prior to hearing about human design and looking into it, I think right away I found it was a new system that didn't just use astrology, but it had some aspects of like the I Ching. And that was what I noticed right away, and that interested me to sort of dig in more. And at the base level, at the introductory level, you are introduced to the 4 different types of energy types that people get kind of grouped in or classified as based on their design, which is based all off of your birth data, just like it would be for an astrology chart. So out of the 4 aura types that you can have, there are a generator type, which happens to be my type. And I'll just say briefly that's about having, as you can imagine, like a generator has energy and then it dispels and recharges back up. So that's sort of how the energy flow would work for a generator aura. It happens to be, if you can visualize, an aura, and it can expand out, and the energetic magnetics work with this field. So there's 3 other types. There's the manifesting generator, which is the combination of the generator and the manifestor aura. So this has the ability to sort of be able to pull things to manifestation, while also having this generating energy. There's a projector type. This type of aura acts a little bit more like a laser, and it can really focus in and take in and give and receive information with other auras. So you see how this type of energy flow is very specific. And the reflector type is the last type, and it has a Teflon aura. So if you can imagine, lots of things sort of slip off the back or, can kind of pass through. And this type of aura is really made to sample and take in other energies and then, respond, and really there aren't very many reflectors out there. The percentage level is the lowest, and generators being the highest, which is about 80%, and that's about of the population.
Oh, wow. So what would be the benefit of somebody knowing their aura type or their energy type?
Well, right away you can recall the types of relationships and engagements and behaviors you have just with others, and it's easy to sort of identify with the description of the energy type. So that's one thing you sort of kind of just notice right away, and it makes it a little bit welcoming to, kind of hear about things that you thought were wrong with you, or they're just different, really. So that was right away, like very, I don't know, like I found the right place to start digging into information. It was really encouraging. So yeah, when you find out your energy type, you're going to be able to experiment, basically, with other people and yourself, reflecting on your past and seeing how those kinds of energies work with your whole design.
I actually felt like when I found out that I was a projector, it made a lot of sense to me because I'm not somebody that has a lot of energy available to me. I'm perpetually tired, ultimately, and I know that was one of the major things for me when learning about human design, even though, again, it was very brief. I could understand that I did not have energy at my disposal.
When you discover that being a projector, then you can not feel so bad about a lot of times in the past where maybe you didn't have the energy where other people did. And then, of course, you can forgive yourself, and then you really see what does work for you, because, of course, there's a purpose that's for your design, and then you start learning how to function with it. Naps are really your best friend.
Yes!
And you take your naps, and the world's a little bit easier to deal with. So you got to make space and adjust your lifestyle, really make some big changes. And those are just sort of some of the beginning parts. Like, it's all like when you learn about the aura, what they're telling you about the energy, and then it just starts moving on and on from there with all different kinds of things you can start experimenting with, which is why it takes quite a long time to sort of get an idea of how to work your own energy field.
How long have you been studying human design?
It's been a little over 6 years, and I think maybe back in like 2013, 2014 is when I first discovered human design and tried to get some information about it, but there really wasn't very much at all out there available on the internet. But today there's just a plethora of information, so it makes it really easy to start digging in like anywhere. And it's not for everybody because there's a lot of material, and that's why it's helpful sometimes. Well, why I was drawn to helping give people this information that, were really a little intimidated by just digging into it. So it is very valuable, though, and I think everybody can benefit.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, that's how I came in contact with you back in 2015 or 2016. But the way you presented it was also very unique because you also are very intuitive and pick up on people's energy as well.
Oh, yeah, thank you. I think when I was younger, I might have felt like I had these extra sensory abilities and studied like psychic abilities and went to some workshops and programs and things like that, which then discovering more about my human design, I noticed that I had certain activations. There are 9 different centers inside of the aura, and 2 at the top would be like the ajna and the head centers. For me, I have a lot of activations up there. So it does sort of tend to lead to well, like telepathy type experiences. I'll just call it that because that's exactly what it felt like. And I noticed you have a design, Rachel, that you have an activated ajna center as well, which is up in the head. So you might have experienced some of the same types of things that I did growing up, where you might have a thought in your head or your mind, and these things are kept inside of you. You haven't said anything, but all of a sudden people next to you start talking about what it is that you were just thinking about. So that happened quite often. Or if I knew what I wanted to eat going to a restaurant, and it's like I'm standing there, walking in the front door and waiting to be seated, and I already know what I want to order, but then I can hear the other people that are sitting down deciding, oh, well, you know what, this sounds like a good idea, and they order exactly what it is that I had in my mind. So I start learning about how those kinds of energy waves really work, and yeah, it was really interesting.
Yeah, that's amazing. Like, do you think growing up did you feel understood by family members, or what was your experience like growing up with these abilities and these interests?
That's a really good question. I wasn't real close with my family. I have some baby boomer parents, and I was a latchkey kid, so there wasn't a lot of family. Although, I guess I could be looked at as a slow learner, or I had like some dyslexia or problems wanting to focus in school or pay attention, things like that. Things that didn't interest me. Beyond having some of my own strange, like paranormal type experiences, they're pretty much kept to myself or my friends.
Yeah, that makes sense. And I think a lot of people, it seems like from my observation, a lot of people that are into these types of things, they tend to be, and not all the time, but often the kind of the black sheep of the family, or kind of the strange one. And so, we find our support with our friends and our community.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's really important, like, to find like people so that you can learn together. My current partner that I have also studies human design, and so that's a real benefit. And she has a different design. She's a manifester. So, everything just gets accelerated when you can point things out to each other, if you can imagine. So we have some different practices that, if it's okay with you, I thought I'd bring up. That's about like how we share our space while we live together, because we have two different. Okay, thanks. We have a couple different, aura types. So when her aura type is a manifesting aura, and it has it kind of goes inwards, and it's reflective, and it can denounce, energies. My aura is very opening and enveloping, and anything that's in my aura, I'm going to have to respond to it, or I notice it. So at nighttime, when we sleep, we could be, tangled up with each other's energy, which makes it for a very rough night of sleeping, because we have some different, energy types. So we've been sleeping in separate spaces, and our sleep is just wonderful. We can wake up really refreshed, wake up in our own energy, and it's really rewarding. It's not easy to do, and it's, a little different, but we've been doing that now for like 3 years.
Yeah, I remember reading about that, like projectors, and I only know much about projectors myself because I'm a projector and so is Lydia, but I remember reading that you're better off sleeping by yourself. Is that true?
Well, I just think you would have a little bit more, you'd feel more refreshed, and the answer is yes, okay? For any type, I would feel that you would notice the difference if you did practice this for at least, a couple of weeks. And yeah, I would recommend. And this kind of moves a little bit into other places too, like where people are a little bit unaware. Like if you're a single person and you already sleep alone, and you have an apartment building, somebody sleeping right next to you against the wall separating you, you still have, some interference. These are some really subtle type of energy things you could start picking up once you start experimenting and practicing, working your own design. So you might not notice these things just right away, but I mean, really after a couple weeks of experimenting, I think anybody can notice.
Wow. So you mentioned something about when people sleep, there's also that it may switch, your auric field may switch in your dream state. Could you go on a little bit more, go into detail about that?
Yeah, I'll try to explain that a little bit. So the normal aura type that I was just talking about, at nighttime when you fall asleep, you have a lot of different activations that go on in the body naturally, biologically. This is the time where your body's going to heal, and your brain waves can go all the way down into like the theta waves. And not to mention, but physically, your body is horizontal; it's not vertical anymore. So you sort of are in a different, I don't want to say dimension, but wavelength. And this puts you into the dream realm. And when you're in the dream realm, you can imagine your dream body has an aura type as well. And this can change. For my partner, she has the manifesting the manifesting aura is daytime, but at nighttime she has a reflector aura. If you remember, I was saying a reflector aura can sample things and test out different stuff. And that's the kind of dream body that she has at night, where at nighttime I have a generator body. So the way that I really kind of can say the difference is like, well, at nighttime for me, I can create my own environment, and I'm usually alone, or there's not like other people I'm engaging with, and these are common like buildings or places, everything. Like I'm really kind of like a creator in this dream space. And well, a reflector, from what I've noticed and heard from other people that I know that have the reflector or at night, they can sometimes find themselves in the body of a totally different person and going through the type of life or experience or whatever that person is having. And the next night, maybe it's a whole different person, of, different people all the time, and even different animals or insects. So I never have that experience when I'm dreaming. I'm always me, and I don't bring in things and I don't sample new stuff. I'm just me. And that is sort of what it is like. My dreamscape is, very specific. And other people have very different kinds of dreaming atmospheres and things like that.
So how would you know? Oh, I'm sorry. How would you know what mode you're operating from at night? Like, how would we find that out if we wanted to know something like that?
Well, one easy way is that if you have an understanding of the way that the aura types work, because there's only 4, you can assume that those themes and the kinds of relationships and behaviors those groups have, they would be reflected in the dream range too. For instance, like I just explained that my partner, when she's dreaming, she has experience of never really being herself. She's another person having their experience. And if you yourself have dreams like that, it's highly likely that you probably have the reflector kind of dream body, where at nighttime you're going to sample things. And, you know, I also noticed for her having that kind of dream body, and other people that have that kind of dream body that I know, they end up living near highways or rivers, anywhere where there's a lot of high stream of consciousness. It could even be a ley line, but sampling is a requirement for a reflector. Now, I don't dream at night like that, so I would assume, you know, I don't have that. Now, you could do the in the software that they have for looking up your human design chart, you could get details about exactly what your chart is. That would be a quick way to do it.
Well, what would be because I think you told me it was a generator. I don't remember exactly, but I think you said my dream the type was a generator. So what would be a generator during sleep as well as a projector? What would that look like?
Well, for me, I'm a generator at night. I have a lot of certain specific like activations. So my dreams are filled with like running, hiding, espionage, and that's the feeling that I always have, like there's some kind of secret mission to do, or something like that is happening. Or you revisit a place that you go to often, like, you know, a certain city or playground, a house, or things like that. A lot of reoccurring things that you might recognize as, you know, something you normally might dream about. And of course, you don't really anybody else. You're always yourself. You don't turn into like, you know, a bird or a different animal or something. That's kind of my experience. And I'm totally interested to hear about what your dream experience is like. Do you have any of those?
Well, it would be more like a lot of times it's teaching, like I'm learning something, or I'm gaining some sort of knowledge or having some sort of discussion with somebody. Those have been frequent. And just, you know, then there's stories. It just feels like I'm in a story, and then, you know, it's lucid. The only way I get lucid is like, oh, when I wake up, make sure to tell so-and-so about this dream. But I've never been able to control my dreams.
Oh, okay. Yeah, with the generator and the generator energy, you know, when it comes to manifesting, the way that happens is that you wait for the opportunities to come to you, to come into your aura, excuse me, and then from there you can respond. And it doesn't really work well to try to manifest things when you're a generator, when you initiate it yourself. And this would go like, the way that I do manifest things is to draw them to myself. So I'll do a lot of meditation, or before I go to bed at night, think about these things that I want to draw to myself, and maybe even ask my dream body to go out and make these connections and with these people, and go out there and do what you need to do to, you know, make all this happen when I wake up. So they're connected. I mean, the dreaming and the waking life are really, you know, they work together. You really got to make friends with the dream body, you know?
Yeah, that's interesting. What about the projector? And I guess what I neglected to mention with the what is it, the manifesting generator? That's another dream type, right?
Yeah. You know, I'm not sure about the manifesting generator as far as dreaming. as a dream body. I'm not familiar with that one, actually. I haven't seen that.
Okay.
But the projector aura is like the generator aura in a way that you're waiting for an opportunity to come to you or to be invited so that you then can, give all the wisdom and focus in. And, once a projector is invited for feedback and assistance, it's wonderful for both of them because you have the recognition and the acknowledgement and all those things that are really good for projectors because, the projectors don't normally have as much energy as some of the other types. So this engagement with others is critical. You just, will find yourself needing to engage with people most of your life.
So when they're sleeping, it's kind of like before they go to sleep, make the intention to make the connections, kind of like what you said you do.
I would agree with that totally. I mean, it's sort of hard to figure out how to develop a relationship with your dream body, but that's a good place to start. Is giving it some tasks to do. That's the way I view it. That's the way I look at it and how I've noticed that it actually gives results. There's some basic things too, like on the astrology level, like, just with the moon, because it's pretty clear to get some results from the moon in just within 30 days. So some of these experiments or taking notes and doing these things take a little bit of time, a couple weeks, maybe even 30 days. But for sure, when the moon goes into different signs, you can't help but notice after a while. If you even know anything about astrology, you pick up on that real quick.
I find that really interesting. I don't know exactly how my dreaming would be different. I'm a Pisces, so dreams are important for us fish folk. But I definitely dream similar, to what Rachel was saying in relation to there being a storyline. But I do snap into consciousness within my dreams, and I do have more control over them and where they're going. Not always, but I very much so do have experience with lucid dreaming and stuff like that, where I am very much so active and consciously aware of what is kind of going on within my dreams. But I do also visit places that I have been, or very familiar places. I never have ever experienced being a bird or an insect or anything like that.
Oh yeah, that'd be pretty interesting. Well, have you guys, ever experienced dreaming about something, interaction with an actual person, and then seeing that actually happen, the next day or two, or within 3-day period, usually these things happen, but that's a great little phenomenon to just let you know that, hey, your dream body is out there.
Yeah.
There was some... You do, huh?
What I was going to say is, that is always interesting where and it may not happen exactly the way it happened in the dream, but it's very, the lesson or the meaning or the symbolism is reflective of what occurs, even the next day. One time I was at a job and I was going to get in trouble, and I had this dream the night before, and I knew, I was sitting in the corner of my cubicle, and I just knew I was going to get in trouble for something. And then, and then the next day, got in trouble. But so, things like that, but it wasn't the exact scenario. It was just something that was kind of letting me, or I've had warnings hey, be careful with this or that, and this is not, and I'm sure, Lydia, you've had the same.
Yeah, definitely. It's not I have definitely premonition in my dreams where I will see or hear something and then it happens the next day, but it's like what you said, it's not completely clear. It's just too synchronistic to miss?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think it's good for all folks to really try to get that relationship going with their dream body. So, one thing that I did notice that got me really to start trying to practice this was that I was having certain like sexual encounters in my dream where the person in the dream would be contacting me the next day and asking me, some questions regarding the situation at least a half a dozen times. So while being a little embarrassed and not understanding any of this, I kind of got some coaching help about, how do I stop this, or how do I get in on it, or whatever, like what's going on? Something's happening. So there was no denying that there was a connection between what was going on at night and my real life. And once I could really just acknowledge that there was another part of me functioning that it can do many things in my life, it just really kind of changed it. So I don't have those kinds of responses or problems anymore. But I did learn, being the generator, like I got to draw the things that I want in my life to me just by like sitting here and thinking about it and letting it set in my aura, and then boom, it'll come to me. So my dream body happens to be like, there aren't as many rules, so I can go anywhere or do anything and, ask these people to give me a call and give me that job that I want so I can get the money, things like that, just everyday simple things. And I've changed the way that I've gone about doing it. And a lot of times giving some of that responsibility to my dream body.
That is fascinating. And it really goes along with your spiritual belief system and your practices. And as you've grown and learned, you are able to tap into this energy, knowing the power of thoughts and manifestation and all that.
I do. And you're right, because as a child, of course, those early years pretty much define us. But I had a severe childhood asthma, so really I spent a lot of time in the corner trying to calm myself down when I was having an attack. So sort of getting an idea of that I could find some place that I could calm my spirit down enough and, grab a hold of things was, in a way, some pretty good training. And I had I don't want to say out of the body experience when I was really young that, showed me that, there's things, there's spaces going on outside of my body. So it made it a lot easier to sort of, make these kinds of connections and jumps and things into the invisible world. They're definitely real for me as a really young child, so I knew this already.
So human design in general, kind of to summarize it, if you consider it as opposed to astrology, which is highly energetic in general, but it's not just you. Human design is more so kind of explaining the internal energetic systems, the aura, how you function energetically with the world around you ultimately.
Well, yes, and what is key about the last part there is the interaction with others, because all of our interactions, our subconscious, is a response or engagement with others. And ultimately, your design is to be of service. And the service, just like in astrology, that houses 7 through 12 are about other people. So it's always eventually, what kind of skills do you have that you can bring to service to others? And it's not like a duty. Sometimes it's just pure joy because you're running your design, you're satisfied, and other people benefit. And this is the idea, I believe, for human design, to really show how you have a part to play, and you're engaging with others all the time, and you change what kind of experience you have energetically. So of course you have transits, and they happen every day, and you get a certain percentage of that influence that hits you, maybe 70, 80%. But when you meet a person, the energy in that person is incredible, and you definitely respond.
So what about, I know with human design there's also the authority types. Can you go over a little bit about that?
Yeah, that's a little bit about how I was talking about, well, for me, if I want to manifest something, it's best for me to sort of wait and see that opportunity comes into my space, and then I grab it. That would sort of be like the authority. Another example would be like for the manifesting, or when they would be initiating something, they might be informing other people about what's on their mind, what it is that they were going to do, what they're going to, be involved in. And when they inform other people, then there could be, an initiation that happens, or a situation where they can respond. But it's pretty much going to happen. The authority part, I'm not really an expert in that area at all, because I'm really just focusing on my own specific energy type, and learning your authority is not really easy to do. It takes a lot of time and practice.
Yeah, it seems very complex, and even getting the information in the training materials, like you said, at first it was harder to come by, but would you say that even like with breaking it down, you have to pay or go into
No.
like get the training videos from the, I forget who, Rahu, or from his website,
Right.
or how does?
Okay, well, there is, of course, YouTube, and when you type anything in there, you're going to get all kinds of people opinions about human design stuff. But there is sort of a more official place, and that's the Jovian Archive. Like, that's the name of their organization. And they do print more official books and put out, like, official trainings. All that costs money, which I've never done. I've gotten books, I have been in groups, and I have, I've had, I think, 2 readings that I, purchased through a practitioner. And those were, very helpful, basically helping me dig into the next thing, or what should I be researching and learning kind of next. But it takes some effort. It takes a lot of effort, I'll just say, because there's quite a bit of material to take in. But I find that it, really it's available on the internet now.
Well, okay, I have a question. So, with everything going on, all the chaos, all the upheaval, all this going on in the world, how are you looking at this? Like, how you experience this, and how are you looking at this from a spiritual perspective of somebody that's been a student and, an interest in these subjects? Like, what's your perspective?
Thanks for asking. I'm going to just come out and say I'm a believer in reincarnation. So that has a lot to do with, I suppose, the way that I feel about it. And the way I feel about it is that there's a lot of things going on that aren't in my sphere. So I focus on what's in my world and what I have drawn to me, and, just kind of try to keep it local. And that's sort of the short answer. I find that everything that you're going to need to be successful, whatever your deal is really in your sphere.
Yeah, so it's basically do your own work on yourself, and whatever arises, that's the best way to navigate, because this is what's being presented to you.
Yes, if I was presented with having COVID-19, then that's something that was in my path for me to deal with. And I don't know, I just would take it that way. And sometimes it might seem a little harsh. There's a lot of things that have happened in my life that are terrible, and there's been trauma, but it's part of my path. I believe my soul has gone through many cycles where I could experience many different things, and I'm just trying to focus on this one. I'm, born here in the United States, and, I need to play my role of who I am, where I'm at, around the people that I'm around.
Do you feel like you are here for a reason? Like, I know you have, Rachel showed me your chart, so I know that you have, heavy Aquarius energy. I do as well. And I'm curious whether or not you feel like you have a purpose here, or a mission, one of light, one of love, something like that.
Yeah, I do. I feel, everybody does. And because I'm still learning a lot about my design and how to work it, it's kind of based off of that, which would be that I experience satisfaction. Like, for instance, I engage in artwork or doing painting. I really enjoy that. And then my body and my aura beams and lights up, and I can feel love. And then the people that are connected to me and are around me get to also experience that. And that's the mission. And it's just so basic. And it's about service. It's about other people. And the mission's never, huge and going to save the world, but it's pretty damn hard, really actually just to kind of make sure you're having a good time, and other people get to feel you and things like that. So there's lots of things that come up all the time, and I have to sort of gauge what my role is in this situation, or is this something I need to say no to because it doesn't serve me, and it's not going to end up helping others if I'm stressed out or in the wrong situation. So that's the purpose right now.
I love that. That's beautiful. All right, Michael. Okay, so you've taken a break from doing energy readings, and astrology and human design. But you are doing art. Are you doing art, art pieces, or is it more? What are you doing now? And is anybody? If anybody wants to reach you, how can they?
Okay, well, I would be open to somebody reaching out to me, maybe to ask some questions. But I am now just doing a painting service in my own local area, and once I made a decision to kind of focus on those things that I enjoy, I started a business, and now I'm really kind of busy doing that, and I totally enjoy it. There's my art is kind of like canvas artwork that I've done that I just kind of got into in the last few years, and I enjoy it. And I have had some art shows, or had a couple people ask me to do some paintings for them. And I have a page on Facebook that has some of my artwork there. That's what I'm basically doing right now.
So locally, if anybody, what do you want to share your page, or do you want us? We can go ahead and also add it to our to our pages?
I would like to. Yeah, my company is called Craftsman Quality Painting, and I have a Facebook page, Craftsman Quality Painting on Facebook, and I have Michael Adcock Artist, which has some of my, and that's on Facebook, and that has my artwork. Yeah, so I have those 2 pages there.
Okay, perfect. Well, we so appreciate you coming. It was wonderful speaking to you, and I always enjoy talking to you about these things, and I hope that we can invite you on the show again to talk about some other stuff.
Okay, that sounds really cool, and it was good to talk with you again, and nice to meet you, Lydia. And yeah, thanks again. I really appreciate it.
Thank you so much, Michael. It was a